Dave0x0x asks, "Hi Ted. It seemed a vast majority of WWF wrestlers in the '80s had a gimmick or were a character. In your opinion, who had the best gimmick in the '80s apart from yourself?"
Hmm. Well, there were so many gimmicks, but I loved Jake's gimmick.
Yeah, that
I
one's
mean,
tough to beat.
that's tough to take. And some of the stories, obviously, that Jake can tell about having to carry that damn snake around with him. Oh gosh. I mean, can you imagine what he told me? I mean, he would take the snake out of the bag and put it in the bathtub in the hotel room, right?
Yep.
And leave the lights on because the lights were heat.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also said that I get up and go to take a piss in the bathroom and the snake's gone. Like, and I think where and he initially he just looked under the bed and didn't see him under there either. But then when he went back and looked again, the snake had crawled under the bed and up into I don't know, the frame.
Yep. Like the box spring.
Yeah. Oh Christ.
Imagine trying to pull a big python out of a box spring. My goodness.
Oh yeah. Not me.
A nightmare. And Jake has also said like he'd be in a hotel room sometimes, and these pythons, while he was asleep, they'd like wrap themselves around the sink, rip the sink out of the wall, rip the toilet off the floor. Like it meant who ends up footing the bill.
Yeah.
Jake's got to do it. So it's just like such a mess. Talking about Jake, and I agree. I think that probably his gimmick is one of the more standout ones. I always loved Rick Martel's gimmick too, but Jake stands out. But one of the things that people who don't like Jake or have a criticism for Jake always say is Jake wasn't over, the snake was over. Ted, what do you make of that narrative?
That's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Jake was over, brother. Again, he's a guy I love to work with, and that was his gimmick. And so, yeah, if the gimmick's over, then Jake is over.
Yep.
I mean, I was, my gimmick was the $1 Million Man, this ultra rich guy who, was like a pompous ass who, all you peons who, what did my dad? My dad called them freeloaders. He said, I'd say, all you freeloaders out there, you want to know what a freeloader is? It's all you people out there who watch wrestling on TV and never spend a dime to come and see the show. You're all freeloaders.
That'll get you some heat.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I always thought the same thing. I always thought it was such a silly criticism when people would say that about Jake. It's like give somebody else a snake then and see if they can get over. I don't think most people could.
No.
It's his personality had to be dialed in just right.
Yeah,
that really kind of like evil character.
Again, if you asked me who were the top 5 or whatever interviewers, Jake's in the top 5, buddy.
Gotta be.
Yeah. It's whoever that was doesn't know their ass from a hole in the ground.
Yeah, that's one of those criticisms I hear from people in the wrestling business. And I'm like, how can you work in this business and be that ignorant? Like Jake Roberts he was over.
Now, wrestlers from my era,
people who have crossed paths with Jake, I think this is what it boils down to. It's people that have crossed paths with Jake and maybe didn't have a good experience or were jealous of Jake and the push he was getting, stuff like that. That's always kind of like that backhanded thing that they'd say about Jake is like, yeah, well, if he didn't have that snake, he wouldn't have gotten over. It's like, oh, really? Because he got over in Mid-South, he got over in Charlotte, he got over in Calgary. Like everywhere he went before, he got over.
Yeah. Well, but he didn't always have the snake.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we can.
That's jealousy. Yeah.
That's it. That's all it boils down to. I'm glad we could clear the air on that narrative.
I'm sure there's people that say that about me too. So
some people, some people just don't like seeing others have success. Is what I think it boils down to.